The Bengals missed out on Golladay as Kenny Golladay lands in New York, a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Giants, according to multiple reports. So where did the Bengals go from here? Well, first, let's start with Golladay. Look, this was never going to be easy, and it was one of those things where the Bengals were hoping to snatch him up for a steal, a 1-year deal, maybe in the $14 million range, and it didn't happen. And they were never going to get into a bidding war or 18 to 20 million per year for a long-term deal. And that's okay, because that wasn't something any of us expected. In the Golladay news, when it dropped earlier this week, that the Bengals made him an offer, I'm glad they did. I'm glad they were proactive in trying to get him. They didn't. That's fine. He ends up in New York. So what happens now? Where do they go from here? Let's start by looking at the offensive line, because everyone got excited about Riley Reiff signing. Well, guess what? More needs to be on the way. They need to get better in the trenches. The Bengals had the worst guard play in the league last season. So to me, Trey Turner, come on down. 5-time Pro Bowler, 27 years old, was dinged up, had a groin injury last year. That's okay. He played bad, no doubt. He played bad. Guess what? He still only allowed 1 sack in 9 games last season, which would be an upgrade, even though those Pro Football Focus scores that I'm sure you guys have Googled, and if not, you're going to right now, are ugly. It might not be nearly as bad. And signing a 5-time Pro Bowler, and he made the Pro Bowl 5 straight years, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, with the Carolina Panthers, gets traded to the Chargers, can't stay healthy, but he's only 27 years old. So you could probably get Turner on a 1 to 2 year deal. Perfect for a Bengals team desperate to add a right guard and stabilize that right side. Because if you can get a right guard in Turner, 5-time Pro Bowler, to go along with Riley Reiff, the right side's fixed. And you got Jonah Williams at left tackle and Xavier Su'a-Filo right now penciled in at left guard. That's a pretty decent offensive line, especially when Trey Hopkins comes back. And obviously, they're going to add in the draft. I don't think Riley Reiff takes him out of the Penei Sewell sweepstakes. And even if they don't take Sewell in the first round, 5th overall, they're going to draft an offensive lineman. Pick 38, pick 69, first 3 rounds. I would book it. Take it to the bank. They're going to draft an offensive lineman, probably a tackle, and we'll see where they go from there. Now, as far as free agency goes, where else could they go? What else could they address besides guard? By the way, keep an eye on Larry Warford. He's a guy also, if they can't get Turner, Larry Warford's a perfect stopgap solution at right guard. Former Pro Bowler, opted out of last season, a guy you could probably get on a 1 to 2 year deal and hopefully upgrade your trenches big time with 2 veterans, Reiff and either Turner or Warford. Another offensive lineman to pay attention to, Austin Ryder from the Kansas City Chiefs. And then after they get one of those guys, and he's a center, by the way, but after they get those guys locked up, I think it's about adding depth. So Quentin Spain, bringing him back, I'd love to do that on a low-end deal. He can play both guard spots. You feel pretty good about him being a backup. And then another guy, Zach Fulton, that's another guy I would have an eye on. You can maybe get him on the cheap as well. But 2 other positions, defensive line, still got to address it, wide receiver. And what wide receivers, now that they're not in the Golladay sweepstakes, Galladay's off the market, where can they go? I think Zach Taylor could reunite with one of 2 guys. First guy, Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins is a dude, one, elite talent. I mean, he's a high-end talent, extremely talented, really quality player when he's on the field. He's just dinged up a lot. So why not give him a 1-year deal, $4 million, and see if he can play in 12 games and help Joe Burrow and be the 4th wide receiver on this offense? They're going to draft one early. That's another position I think they draft. If not with the 5th pick, they're going to take 1, maybe 2 in the draft. So Sammy Watkins, 1-year deal, sign me up. Another guy that everybody talks about and also has ties to Zach Taylor, Josh Reynolds. So those are 2 names to keep an eye on. And I'll give you one more. Demarcus Robinson of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a field stretcher, a guy just out there. Not great, but can he be your 4th wide receiver and stretch the field a bit? I think he can. Just keep an eye on him as well. And maybe the Bengals don't address wide receiver in free agency and they say, hey, we're going to probably take one at 5 and we'll take one in round 4 or 5. And we'll have 2 rookies to work with alongside Boyd and Tate and obviously T. Higgins. Maybe that's the case as well. We'll see. And then the other position that they need to address, and I wouldn't be surprised if they add another defensive tackle, just a depth piece, but either way, I got my eye on defensive end. Can they get an Alden Smith in here? Another edge, someone that's going to push the edge and make it hard on opposing quarterbacks. Melvin Ingram is a guy I would love for them to look at. He's visiting the Chiefs later this week. If it doesn't work there, I think you get in on a guy like that and potentially try to snatch him up on a short-term deal. Either way, there are options out there. But the tier 1 guy's gone. Kenny Golladay's gone. The good news is the sun is still out on Saturday in Cincinnati. It's going to rise again on Sunday, and that's all right, because if they can land Trey Turner, it's going to do wonders for Joe Burrow, and it opens the draft board up even more for what's going to likely be an offensive player. They need to draft an offensive player at 5, because when you look at it, and we'll dive in more into the draft here on this channel as we go on, we're about 5 weeks away from it. The 5th pick, it's either Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase or what? Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, all of these offensive players. So they're going to add to their offense with the 5th pick. I'd be surprised if they went defense at that spot, and we'll see what happens. But to me, that's where I'm at. That's where they're at. Here's what I do know. We are going to cover it all off season long. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure that you hit subscribe. Check out our channel each and every day. We're going to have new stuff coming your way. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.